Hello, dear friends, with you Naya. Today we are going to consider not a new, but a very interesting mod, which is dedicated to modern vehicles. The mod is called MrCrayfish's, which literally translates as a mod for Mr. Langusta's transport. MrCrayfish, that is, MrCrayfish, is the nickname of the creator. This modification is available for a number of versions of the main, starting from 1.12.2 and ending with 1.16.4. There are slight differences in the versions, but the mechanics of the mod and most of the items are the same. The reviewer came out voluminous, so I had to split it into two parts. In the first one, we'll talk about the mechanics of the mod and analyze the whole thing on the 12th version of the main. In the second video, let's look at all the available modes of transport, and finally take a look at what has changed for the newest versions of Minecraft. So let's go. Mr. Langusta's mod offers us more than 20 different types of vehicles, including trailers, as well as the opportunity to customize these vehicles by painting them in different colors, installing different engine capacities, and different tire profiles. Also in fashion, there is a system for creating fuel and refueling cars, plus various additional items and functions that we will analyze with you. If you are in creative mode, then you can easily get any of the vehicles from such a box. To do this, you need to take the box with the machine in your hands and right-click it on the block on which you want to install it. The sides of the box will fall apart, an explosion will sound, after which the machine you wanted will land on the selected block. It will be by default, this unpainted, the color of gray steel. To ride it, you need to come up, right-click on it, and then you will sit behind the wheel. Well, it is controlled by the usual Y, D movement keys. Holding the squat key in a turn will make the machine drift. If you need to honk, press the English letter H, Russian ear. But you can easily figure out the creative mode yourself. It is much more important for us to know how these cars will work in survival mode. Well, let's take a look at my auto repair shop. As you can see, various workbenches are installed here, and in particular, this one is out of fashion. It is crafted from an ordinary workbench, a chest, red concrete, and light gray concrete. And by the way, stock up on concrete, because you will need it more than once. If you install several of these workbenches, especially next to each other, then various objects can be displayed on top of them. For example, a mug with lemonade or a notebook, which looks very cool. Well, now let's look at the interface of the workbench. By clicking on these arrows, you and I can choose which vehicle we will build. The top right shows what you need for crafting. The top 3 slots are from left to right. Paint, that is, you can put a dye here, but this is not necessary at all, because you can paint a ready-made machine. Then, there is the engine. It indicates which characteristics of the engine you need: small, large, or electric. And at the very end of the wheel, and at the bottom, there is a list of resources that are needed in addition to engines and wheels. If you have a certain amount of resources, then you can check the box here. Then, the list will show how much you still lack. The workbench inventory can store the engine, wheels, and dye, so you don't have to carry them with you every time. Before creating a typewriter, let's talk about the parts for creating it. First of all, these are panels or sheets of metal. They are relatively easy to craft. To do this, you will need pieces of iron and white concrete. Then we have wheels. They differ in profile and accordingly in properties. Some of them are designed for high-speed driving, some for driving on snow or off-road. There is even a blue plastic wheel like this. All wheels except the plastic one have the same base, 4 leathers, and 4 blocks of black wool. The plastic one has blue concrete instead of black wool, but different objects or blocks are placed in the middle. For the simplest ordinary wheels, and a plastic wheel. And this is an iron ingot. For sportswomen, a gold bar. For racing, you will have to splurge on a diamond. For off-road driving, you need a Padzola block. For studded rubber, an ice block. For all-terrain wheels and Derniac, all of these wheels behave differently on different surfaces. That is, the effectiveness of your ride will depend on whether you have chosen the right rubber profile. If we talk in detail about the parameters of rubber, then conventional wheels reduce the maximum speed of the car by 10% on a hard surface. On the ground, the slowdown is even more noticeable, about 15%. And in the snow, the efficiency decreases even more. Sports wheels will give you the opportunity to drive on a hard surface faster than conventional ones, because they do not reduce or increase the maximum speed of the car. But on the ground and snow, they behave almost as badly as ordinary tires. Racing wheels will increase your top speed by 10% on a hard surface. And for this type of coating, racing the fastest wheels are in fashion. But on snow and ground, they are no different from ordinary and sporty ones. They are the same retarded. If you are going to drive mainly on the roads of your city, perhaps these wheels will be a good choice for you. Wheels for off-road driving on a hard surface are far from the fastest, but they show better speed on the ground and snow than the previous three. If you are going to ride a lot on the grass, it may make sense for you to take a closer look at them. Cross-country rubber behaves stably on all surfaces. That is, you will not accelerate or slow down, regardless of whether you drove into the snow or drive on asphalt. There will be no speed changes. The speed will be slightly less even than that of conventional wheels on a hard surface, but it will be stable, without jerks. Studded wheels show their maximum speed on ice and snow. And of all the wheels, they are the fastest on such surfaces. But on the ground, and on a hard surface, they are straight-braked. If you live in a winter biome, or travel somewhere on ice and snow, then these wheels are the most suitable choice for you. Plastic wheels, paradoxically, can also be put on the car, although they were not intended for this. But still, if you really wanted to, then who will forbid it? After all, maybe you like their blue color. They behave stably on all surfaces. But I would say that it is stable slow, because these are the slowest wheels in fashion. However, perhaps you just want a slow and very stable vehicle on all surfaces. In this case, these wheels will fit you in time. Now, as for the engines, as I have already mentioned, they can be small, large, and electric, but in addition, they also differ in quality. Here we can draw an analogy with engines in the build craft. There are also stone, iron engines and the like. The engines from Mr. Langusta are wooden, stone, iron, gold, and diamond. Each subsequent one is an upgraded version of the previous one. In other words, in order to create a diamond one, you will first have to create a wooden one, and then upgrade it through all the intermediate stages of stone, iron, and gold. Accordingly, the more primitive the materials of manufacture, the weaker your motor will be. If you don't need high speeds, then there's no point in splurging on something cool. A wooden one will do just fine. A small wooden engine is made of a stove, an iron block, 2 ingots of iron, 2 pistons, 2 redstones, and 1 wooden board. Well, then you just take the engine and cover it first with 4 stones, then with 4 iron ingots, then with gold ingots, and at the end with diamonds, crafting a large wooden engine. Like this. The electric one is like this. They are upgraded in an absolutely similar way to a small engine. Now let's talk about the characteristics of the engine in a little more detail. If you point the cursor at the engine and press Shift, then you will see exactly these very characteristics. The first line says acceleration. The car does not move from a place with the maximum speed for itself, but gradually accelerates. In other words, this parameter just indicates how effectively the engine accelerates your car. Then, we have an increase to the maximum speed. This means that there is a certain maximum speed for each type of vehicle. For example, some lawn mower will not go as fast as a mini bike, but the maximum speed of the machine can be increased by putting a more powerful engine on it, so a lawn mower with a diamond engine has a chance to approach the speed of a mini bike with a wooden one. Well, the third parameter is how much this engine consumes fuel. So far, This feature has not been added, it is only planned, so the line for it has already been prepared. And to be specific, the acceleration of a wooden engine is less than 1. This means that it has a negative effect on overclocking, and the maximum speed is generally with a minus sign. A vehicle with such an engine will move slower than it is actually intended for it. But it can be useful for some machines, for example, for those that perform some kind of work that requires not speed, but careful management. Next, we have a stone engine. It does not give any bonuses or penalties to acceleration and maximum speed. In other words, the car will go with it at the speed that is provided for it, not faster and not slower. But already the iron engine adds to our acceleration and is sensitive to the maximum speed. With this engine, you slightly improve the parameters of your car. The most powerful are the gold and diamond engines, and I probably won't dare to say which of them is better, because gold gives the best bonus to acceleration, and diamond to maximum speed. It seems that there is nothing to think about. The maximum speed is better, but in fact, this is not quite true. If you drive long, more or less straight sections, then yes, the maximum speed is better. But if you have a very winding and tricky track, where you often crash, lose speed, and have to constantly accelerate, then acceleration undoubtedly rules here. Each engine is good in its own specific conditions. Which one to put, and it's better for you to try it yourself in practice. Well, now let's try to finally make a typewriter. I want a tractor, and let it be red. For a tractor, I need a big engine, and I will put the most ordinary wheels on it. After all the necessary spare parts and resources are collected, you need to click on this button with the inscription Craft. We get a box with our typewriter, like the one we took out of the Creative. We take the box and put it in the world. We click the key on the top of the box. And here it is, a red tractor. But somehow I don't like its color anymore. That's not how I imagined him. This case can be fixed. We will need to craft a spray bottle. Craft it like this. We will also need dyes. I wanted a red tractor, but not like that, but dark red. Then we'll take the red and black dyes and put the whole thing on the workbench together with the balloon. We can add or remove the dye on the workbench, achieving the proportion that we need. Let's just mix black and red first and try to paint the tractor. Right-click on it, and that's it. It seemed to get better, but if we still don't like it, we can go back to the workbench, even though the paint has already been spent a little. The contents of the balloon are subject to correction anyway. After several uses, the paint in the balloon will run out, but the balloon itself will not disappear. If you really like the dye that you mixed in the can, and you need more of this paint, then the can be refilled. By connecting the balloon with dyes, you will not fill it again, but only affect the shade of the paint. To fill an empty balloon, you will have to create a new balloon and connect it with an empty one. Our tractor is ready, painted as we like, but in survival mode, it's not enough to ride it. Now we need to fill up our car with fuel. But before refueling, it is necessary to make this very fuel. To do this, the mod provides a whole system that includes a number of different items and blocks. To begin with, we need 2 of these liquid extractors. They can be crafted from a block of glass, a piston, a redstone block, and 6 iron ingots. When we have crafted them, then they need to be installed further. After that, the raw materials, namely Ender's pearls and fright rods, are loaded into these extractors. In other words, in order to ride a typewriter, you will have to arrange a genocide of Endermen and freaks. Extractors will not work by themselves. To activate them, you need to charge them with some vanilla fuel, such as coal or lava. However, keep in mind that there is a small tank here, namely, when a bucket of lava is consumed, the bucket itself disappears. In the extraction process, Ender and Blaze liquids are formed. The maximum capacity of the extractor is 5,000 millibucks. In other words, 5 buckets. Then these liquids must be mixed. To do this, we need a device called a liquid mixer. As you can see, a cooking rack is required for crafting it. This device will mix Ender and Blaze liquids and as a result, we will get the fuel needed to refuel the cars to transfer liquids to the mixer. You will have to craft a liquid pump. It's done like this, and a liquid pipe. Her craft is like this. Now this very pump needs to be connected to the liquid extractor. Let's start with the liquid sender. To do this, choose any side except this one with a panel. Squat and click the pump with the right mouse button in the squat. On the mixer, select the side with the dark green entrance and attach a liquid pipe to it. And the first of them, the one at the entrance, we attach again in a squat and then pull straight to the pump. The pipes are attached to the side to which you point the cursor. Attach the other way around. That is, it will not work to pull from the pump to the inlet. By the way, pipes can be from other mods, from the same build. For example, Blaze liquid is supplied to the mixer in the same way, only to the yellow entrance. I'll tell you a little secret. In fact, it does not matter which inlet to the faucets to connect which liquid. The colors are made solely for your convenience, so that you yourself do not get tangled in the pipes when you build a giant plant for the production of fuel for cars. Next, we need this tool wrench. Crafted on the basis of gray concrete and iron ingots. We hang a lever on the pipe. In the newest versions, it is not attached to the pipe itself for some reason. Apparently, this is a flaw that will be fixed someday. In the meantime, you can cunningly twist around and put the lever on the block next to it. Now, with a wrench, you need to select the mode in which the pump will supply liquid to the pipe. To do this, right-click the key on the pump. By default, the liquid is supplied according to the redstone signal turned on, but you can change and make it so that it is supplied when the signal is turned off, or that it is always supplied. By the way, you can also disconnect and connect the pipes back with a key. That's the way it is. You need to right-click on the pipe and it will detach, and if you click again, it will join back. Now let's look into our mixer. As you can see, it also requires fuel to work, but in addition to it, a catalyst is also needed. The catalyst for the process here is a light dust, and it will take quite a lot. And that's when we uploaded both, the mixing started. And as a result, we get this kind of diesel fuel called furium, which perhaps could be translated as benzenium. By the way, if you don't want to bother with the endless tossing of resources, you can attach the funnel either to the top or to this side and throw fuel and raw materials for extractors and mixers into the chest. Yes, you heard right. Everything can be stuffed into one funnel, and the resources themselves will be distributed in the device. There are two types of fuel barrels in fashion for storing liquids, conventional and industrial. Their crafting requires a lot of iron. 40 buckets of liquid fit into an ordinary barrel, and about 75 fit into an industrial one. Pipes can also be connected to these barrels and used in their liquid supply systems. By the way, they store not only liquids from the mod, but also vanilla liquids, and even liquids from other mods. However, for some reason, vanilla milk is not poured. Most likely it's a tank. Well, it may well be that the author of the fashion simply could not imagine that someone would need so much milk. To see how much liquid is in the barrel, you need to sit down and look at the barrel. You will see an indicator strip, the color of which will correspond to the color of the liquid inside. Also, the name of the liquid itself will be written on top of the indicator. If you look at the barrel and there is no indicator, it means it is empty. Barrels can be knocked down with a pickaxe and moved from place to place. The liquid from them will not disappear. But this is not the end of our fuel epic. Now we can put a gas station pump. It is being crafted in this way using a barrel. So we put a pump to the mixer at this light green entrance, or rather the exit, and pull the pipe from the column to it. The pipe can be attached from below, from above, or from the sides, but it cannot be front and back where the glass is. Turn on the pump and go to the column. In front of it, there is an indicator that shows how much fuel is in it as a percentage. Let's refuel our tractor now, but here's the bad luck. Our tractor is standing near the garage, and we need to somehow deliver it to the gas station. And without fuel, it will not go there. Here we have two options to drag it on ourselves or craft a canister. There are two types of cans in fashion, this little red one and this big green one. Their crafts are like this. As you can see, much more iron goes to the big one. A small canister holds 5 buckets of fuel, 15 fit into a large one. To get fuel into the canister, you need to approach the gas station with an empty canister. Pick it up and hold it with the right mouse button on the gas station. The fuel scale will gradually fill up. To refuel the car, you need to approach from the side where the gas tank hole is, point the cursor at it with a canister in your hand, and again hold the right mouse button. While the car is refueling, you will hear a sound as if a thirsty traveler is drinking in the desert. By the way, fuel is ignored in creative mode. Cars cannot be refueled. Well, as I said, you can lift the car and carry it to the gas station on your hands. To do this, sit down and right-click on the typewriter. Do you see how strong I am? I can run with a tractor in my arms. To put the tire back, you need to sit down again and right-click on the block on which you want to put your vehicle. And if you click on the air, then flip it to the side. This is how you can arrange powerlifting competitions in Minecraft. Whoever throws the tractor next wins. I filled my tractor with only 5 buckets from the canister, and 15 fit into it, so we'll fill the rest straight from the column. We approach the column and right-click the refueling gun. No, just look at how cool it looks. You can really pick it up and pull it, but if you go too far away, it will slip out of your hands and put it back. During refueling, we can observe how the fuel in the column decreases, and this is very cool. Well, the tank is full, and we will go with you to test my new tractor. I even have it painted red, so I have to go fast. Well, no, he's barely rattling. Either the orc sign is wrong, or my tractor is not red enough. Let's tune it up a little. To do this, we will need a craft elevator, red concrete, a piston, iron ingots, and an electric motor. Now we take our car on the handles and put it on the lift. The lift immediately triggers and lifts our vehicle off the ground. Now, we click the key on the typewriter with the right mouse button and see that we can change the wheels and the engine. I have already prepared the engine. We will take the sports wheels, and so that for sure the tractor will drive like a wild animal. We will paint the wheels red. To paint the wheels, we need ordinary vanilla dyes, not a spray can, and this is done on a workbench. The colorants can be combined, so don't think that you are limited to vanilla colors. You just need to combine them right in the workbench, along with the wheel. Well, the engines are not painted. We all change the wheels and the engine, remove the tractor from the lift, and go for a ride. Wow, cool. It's a completely different matter. Do you feel it? By the way, here at the top you see some numbers. This upper one means the speed, which is measured in blocks per second. And at the bottom is our fuel, namely how much of its maximum capacity is left in the tank. I have now almost 15,000 millibucks out of a possible 15,000. As I ride, fuel will be consumed and the first digit before the fraction will decrease. To make it more fun for us to ride, and it would be possible to build various race tracks. There are accelerators and trampolines in fashion. Their craft is quite expensive. The simplest accelerators without tossing are made like this, concrete, and these very basic accelerators are added to those with tossing. And they work great. By the way, if the car lands from a great height after the springboard, it does not receive damage. Acceleration is triggered only if the car goes in the direction of the accelerator arrows. There will be no effect in the opposite direction. Acceleration adds half of your maximum speed to you. That is, it depends on what kind of car we have, as well as what kind of engine and wheels it has. And this case works exclusively on a typewriter, does not apply to people, horses. Accelerators can be used to create quite interesting designs. When you install them next to each other, they connect. Medium accelerators are something like a semi-block, so they can be installed one on top of the other. If some part of the structure needs to be raised higher, the sidewalls of all accelerators are made of gray concrete, so you can put it down so as not to waste extra accelerators. After all, they are expensive. The direction of the arrows depends on which way you are looking when installing. As you can see, after a long and sloppy ride, I managed to roll my tractor. It's all dented and really close to falling apart completely. That is, the machine can break down to such an extent that in the end, you will get iron ingots and some of the spare parts, but not in full. In general, the damage system in fashion is designed in such a way that vehicles receive a minimum of damage. This mainly happens when falling or getting stuck somewhere in the blocks. They do not cause damage to others, including mobs and players, so don't be afraid to crush chickens, kittens, or bunnies on the road. I think it's time to fix my tractor. To do this, we need to put it back on the lift and trim the dents. To do this, you will have to use a sledgehammer. A sledgehammer can be made from 1 block of gray concrete and 4 ingots of iron. Now we take the sledgehammer in our hands and hold it with the right mouse button. The dents are removed, and when the car is completely in order, green particles will appear, and this is the sound. A very interesting thing added by the mod is a car key. If you play with friends, you can easily make it so that no one will drive your car without permission. Your car is the one that you created. If the car was called from the creative, then the first one who used the ignition key on it will be the owner. The key is made of gray concrete and 2 iron ingots. With this key, you approach the typewriter and right-click it. An inscription appears in the chat that the key is successfully tied to the car. Well, the ignition lock will appear on the car itself, and it will no longer go without a key. Now you need to insert the key into the ignition lock with the right mouse button, either before getting into the car or when you have already sat down, and only then will she be able to move. If you pull the key out of the lock on the move, the car will immediately stop. It will not work to bind one key to several cars, but it is quite possible to create a copy of the key. To do this, you need to craft a new key and again right-click it on the typewriter. After that, you can give this copy to your best friend or hide it in some secret drawer as a spare. If you want to make the car public again, just take a wrench and pick the ignition lock with the right mouse button. But stealing someone else's car in this way will not work. To pick the lock, you must be the owner of the car. By the way, not all vehicles can be made with a key, and of course the keys do not apply to trailers. It is possible to make a key to the tractor, but it is absolutely not necessary, since there is a tank in it. The key is attached, but the ignition lock is not displayed, and it is impossible to drive a tractor after that. Another useful thing in fashion is a traffic cone. It is made of orange and white concrete, and is good because it does not allow a car to pass. Any fastest car will stop like a wall if it comes across such a cone. And you can also put it on your head or on a rack for armor. Well, we have analyzed the mechanics of the mod in detail. Next time, we will take a close look at all the cars and other vehicles available in it, and also look at what has become new in fashion for more recent versions of the main. I hope you liked my review. If so, do not forget to smack on the like. And that's it for today. See you soon. Bye-bye.